Hello, and welcome to Go Spill the Tea with myself, Paranormal Mitch, and
Paranormal Teej.
we have a fantastic episode today about communication.
Yes.
Something that I feel like we are very passionate about.
Yes, and we should have done like episode 3, but then it was Fairy
ago.
Week, and then Hoshi wanted
We got
her
caught up in
episode.
stuff, and,
But
you know,
we're here now.
We're here now.
This is a basics episode.
Really basics episode. We may do more in-depth stuff in the future.
Yes,
if-
like on
if
each
need
of these
be.
independently.
Obviously, y'all let us know. But we got a lot to cover,
Yeah.
basics-wise.
We're going to be going through all of the different kinds of communication methods that you could potentially use with your haunted dolls. We're going to be going through low-tech stuff that you could potentially make at home. We're going to be going to like some kind of middle of the road tech stuff that's like simple. And then we're going to be going to like the high tech. I want to say there are, I'm sure, other communication methods out there that could potentially be used. But for the purpose of this episode, I don't like to educate on things that I haven't done myself, because I don't think that's fair to all of you. I want to give you guys information on things that we have experienced, we have tried and succeeded, we have tried and failed, so that you guys have a picture of things that we actually know what we're talking about on. So every single thing in this episode that we're going to talk about are things that we have actually tried and have experience with, and we're going to give you the rundown of what it is, pros and cons for each, and what we prefer. For this one, we did something a little bit different. In addition to our Spirit of the Week questions, we also took some viewer submitted questions from you guys, that you guys wanted to know about communication, and we will talk about those as well. Before we get started, I did want to say, communication is a deeply, deeply personal process, and it's not a one size fits all. What works amazing for me might not work for you at all. You may hate it. And, what's your favorite thing just might not work for me. When we are doing spirit communication, there are so many different ways to do this. And there's no right way. There's no one size fits all. It's what works for you, what works for your spirits, and what works for your house. So, these are just things you could try. And if you're not into it, that's cool. If you don't like something, that's cool too. This is, an open place for discussion. Definitely let us know what you like, and what your tips and tricks are as well. We'd love to hear your ideas. Before we start, one of the things we are going to be talking about later in the episode for low tech is Ouija boards. And people come up with a lot of, different rules you have to follow when you use a Ouija board. And I don't want to get into that because I think you should be using some boundaries for every single communication method you use. Because when you're working with spirits, there's a degree of safety that's necessary. Mitchell, you're a pro at this. What do we do before any communication session, regardless of what method we're using, to make sure that it's safe, we're getting our spirits in our house, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so I think it's something that's personal to me. You can, how I feel about a lot of things is you can take it and copy it. You can take it and adapt it, whatever works for you.
Whatever fits your belief system spiritually.
Exactly. I have a little gist that you've probably heard before. So I say, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of it. I say we don't want to talk to any negative spirits or negative entities. We only want to talk to positive spirits and positive entities and those that are in the house with us. So that's a little spiel that works for me, right? But I also think there's an important emphasis on like your intention going into it and kind of your headspace and making sure that you feel comfortable with whatever you're doing. Because I think we can both agree that if you go in, to a communication method in a bad headspace, or you feel angry at something and you want to kind of get your frustration out, it's probably not the best time.
Negative energy draws negative energy.
Draws negative energy. And we've even had like spirit box sessions where like one of us has been like having a bad day or something like that, or like we disagreed on something, and the spirits will literally be like, stop, don't do this, it's bad,
you're in a bad mood,
bad
vibes,
yeah, bad vibes,
get out of here.
I don't want to do it. And like it's fine, but find a little spiel that works for you. And like Taylor said, there's lots of different belief systems that come along with that. Find something that kind of fits whatever you feel like works best for you. If you want to copy what I say, awesome. If you feel like you want to add a little addendum at the end, if you feel like you want to change it a little bit,
Some people
if
say
you've
stuff to
heard
their gods
some,
and goddesses.
yeah, if you've heard someone
whatever.
else say something that you really like, ooh, I kind of like the ring in that and that feels good, great.
Whatever works
explore
for
with
you.
it, see what feels good. And don't be afraid to like write some things down and be like, nah, I don't feel like the feel of this. I don't like the feel of this. This one feels like it's going to connect with me. Because I think whatever your intention is and whatever you put into it is what's going to make the biggest difference.
And I know when I started, I was like such a perfectionist about this. I was like looking up like scripts of like what people say and how they say it. It's not about the words. If you are like me, it is not about the specific words that are said. It's about the intention that is placed. So if your intention is, this is going to be a positive environment, this is going to be positive spirits only, your intention is everything. If you mess up the words, you fumble, whatever, that's okay. It just matters that the intention is there, and that is what it's all about. If you, work with deities, you can call on your deities to protect you. Some people, when they're saying their spiel, envision themselves, surrounded by a white light. There are infinite number of ways to do this. It just matters that you do it. That's just our little spiel. You can copy paste it. That's fine. Or come up with your own, whatever works for you. But we do that regardless of the communication method, regardless of if it's a Ouija board or a spirit box, whatever. We do that to keep ourselves safe. And I always say, if something weird comes on and you're getting weird answers, some people like freak out and like think the world's going to end. It's not, you guys. We have control of the communication method. You can always turn off the box.
Close it out and say goodbye.
You can always hit goodbye. You have control. So if you're getting stuff that's like weird, you feel like it's not your spirit, you feel like there's something a little strange going on, just end it.
Or don't be afraid to be like, I don't like this conversation. I don't like where this is headed. Because you're totally within your right to do that. Like if you're having a talk with, your friend that you meet at the coffee shop and they're talking about something that you really don't like, you can absolutely say, you know what? I don't like this. Can we change the subject? Can we talk about something else? Or, you know what? I don't want to talk with this person. Get up and walk away. Like you're totally within your right to do that. Like you're not like locked in.
Yeah, you get something nasty that shows up, just hang up.
Yeah, just hang up. I mean, it's fine. And if they keep coming back, then just talk to them and be like, keep hanging up, and they'll go away eventually.
Yeah.
But let's kind of start down our list.
Yes.
We got to make these like relatively concise. So we're going to do our best.
We're going to try.
Do our best. I think the first one we want to talk about was pendulum.
Yes. So we're
no tech first. So we're going to talk about the pendulum and the pendulum board.
Yes.
And kind of what that is.
So a pendulum basically is a tool. There are a number of different varieties of them. A lot of times they have like a crystal on the bottom. Sometimes it's other things. And it's on a chain, typically. Some people, if you don't have a pendulum at home, you want to do pendulum, something really nice about this, you can use a necklace. I always say, like, if it's a really lightweight necklace, it's not going to work as well. But if you have like a heavier charm or something, take your necklace off, use that.
You can use a coin on a string. Like,
it'll work.
It's fine.
It'll work. So pendulum is like that. You can do pendulum by itself, or you can do pendulum with a pendulum board. Looks similar to a Ouija board, except for it is shaped like a circle. So you hold your pendulum in the middle and it will swing to the letters that it wants to spell. So that is the gist of the pendulum. Pendulum, I feel like, pros of this, it's one of the most beginner friendly tools. I very rarely meet somebody who can't do pendulum.
It's easy, it's cheap, it's affordable.
Yeah,
it's you can't go wrong with it. You get pretty reliable answers, I feel like, a lot of times too.
Yes. The cons of it, you don't always get reliable answers. If you are somebody with shaky hands, which I am, you have to be very, 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 very careful. Because it's a human driven method, there's no technology involved, you're holding it. And so your energy does play a role in that. So if you like shake your hand even the slightest bit, you can swing that pendulum to wherever your hand went on complete accident. So that's why with pendulum, I always like to kind of verify with another method, like with a light, maybe like, oh, is that what you wanted? And they turn on the balloon light for yes, or leave it off for no, something like that, just to make sure you didn't skew it. Some people don't skew it at all. Other people do skew it on complete accident. With the pendulum especially, there is something called the ideomotor effect that comes into play. The ideomotor effect is where our brain can cause our body to make micro movements as a result of what we're thinking. So some people will say, oh, I'm controlling it with my brain. I think this, and then, it happens or it spells that. That may not be you're controlling it with your brain. That may be your brain has something predicted that it wants to say. The ideomotor effect is taking over and your hand is accidentally making micro movements to spell that answer or whatever. So you do have to be careful with pendulum for that reason. I educate about that because you can avoid that if you know about it, right? Like check yourself, make sure that, your hand's not moving, watch your hand, don't be afraid to ask the question a second time to verify, to confirm you didn't move it. Because I always say, if we are skewing results, we're literally just talking to ourselves. So, check yourself, be on top of yourself. That's like my main con with the pendulum. But it's difficult to avoid. There are such a thing as pendulum stands. There are magnetic pendulum boards where like you swing a magnet and it lands on something. That takes the divination out of a divination tool if you're not involved. So, it's important that you are the one holding it. But you just have to be mindful of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Do you have any other tips?
No.
For that? You're good? Cool.
Yeah. I think the only ththing I would say is don't be afraid to make yourself the like makeshift pendulum board.
Yeah.
So you could literally just get a piece of paper and write like, if you want to say, what color of this do you like? You can literally put like blue, green, red, and just put it on a little circle, and then they can swing to the one they like. Like that's very easy to do, and it takes a pen and paper and about 10 seconds. So that's easy to do too. Cause I can't do the pendulum board. It never made sense to me. It doesn't work for me. I feel really good with the pendulum itself, but I can't do pendulum board personally.
Yeah. And there are also, if you don't want to buy a pendulum board, go on Google, type in free pendulum board template. You can literally print one out.
Yeah.
And it is super easy to use. A lot of people are able to do it on the first day, which I think is so great about pendulum. There are so many of these things that are a big learning curve. Pendulum kind of happens for people pretty quickly. And a lot of spirits really like it. It's a preference for a ton of spirits. So definitely a good thing to have in your toolbox.
It is also very nice. Let's also mention now for spirits that have a hard time communicating with either words or spelling.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you have like a little that's like one or two, like they're probably, unless they have some other things helping them, they probably won't be able to spell or might have trouble speaking with a spirit box that we'll get into later. So a pendulum's a really easy way because all they have to do is go forward yes, or forward backward yes, side to side no. That's a really easy way to do that too.
Yeah. You can also use pictures. You could put little stickers in the circle and say, okay, swing it to the picture of what you want.
It's whatever you can think about in your imagination is perfectly fine.
Yeah. So pendulum's a great tool. Definitely recommend it. Just some self-monitoring is needed to make sure it's reliable. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Next one. What's on there?
Ouija board.
Ouija board. Okay. Ouija board. We all know what it is. I don't think we need to explain what a Ouija board is, right? Letters.
It's a board with letters.
Yes, no.
Numbers.
Goodbye.
Yes,
numbers.
no, goodbye.
That's it.
Yeah.
Planchette. Put your hands on. Move it around.
If you know what it is, Google a picture. You've seen one.
Mitchell, why don't you go through some of your pros and cons? What are your pros?
I personally really like the Ouija board. I think it's a really interesting way to connect with your spirit. I feel like a lot of times, and I just like the spelling aspect of it. I just think it feels good. I feel reliable doing it. I personally can't listen in the spirit box. I have a very hard time with that. I could probably keep practicing. I probably get better at it, but I have a really hard time with that. So for me, the Ouija board is something that I was drawn to, and I've always liked it. I still have a hard time doing it by myself, but I will continue to practice. It is definitely possible to do by yourself. But once again, like a lot of this other stuff, it requires a lot of practice. And I feel like a lot of times the spirits, like even if you're not good at it, like they will be very happy with the fact that you're practicing. Like if you're trying, that's good, and eventually you will get it. And your spirits will probably help you a little bit too, especially if you have spirits that have been with multiple spirit keepers or done different kinds of divination tools or what have you. You'll be able to get it eventually, but it could take a lot of practice.
Yeah, I think another pro of it is the reliability of it. I think is quite a bit higher than the pendulum, in my experience, because you may not notice if you're moving your hand this much and your pendulum's moving. It's really easy to miss, and it's really easy to do even for the most conscientious person. A Ouija board, if you're moving your own arms.
Yeah.
Right. Like it has to go a lot further. So I think the reliability goes up. Another pro, a lot of older spirits, like in terms of time period, do prefer the Ouija board to the spirit box.
And I
Some
feel like
spirits don't like technology.
And I feel like a lot of times it's like you're very, this is going to sound weird, like classic, as in like, and old timey is not the right word, but like more mature spirits a lot of times will go towards like
Willow
the Ouija
uses
board.
it a lot.
Yeah, like some of our spirits that were like lived a more a longer life, or were a little bit older, or were, you know, hundreds of years old or something like that. I feel like they prefer it a fair amount, but they'll do, you know, whatever. You can always ask your, you know, spirit too. Sometimes some prefer one over the other. Some don't prefer any of it all and just like, yeah, I'll just do whatever. But like Aitan for us is a really good example. Like, I don't know if she'd ever want to do the spirit box because she's, you know, way older than the radio.
Willow will do the spirit box just to tell us to get the Ouija board.
Yeah. So sometimes it depends on the spirit too. But
yeah. The major con that I personally see with the Ouija board, I think, is the stigma around it. More than anything, I'm sure there are some of you watching this that are like, I would never touch a Ouija board in my entire life.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's okay. Totally fine. I do say that that's a con because I think that because of the stories people hear about it, and I mean, we'll do a whole Ouija episode, so I'm not going to get into all of the reasons why this may be, but I think because of the stigma around it, people inherently, some people, not everybody, some people have just like this kind of fear of it already going into it, and they bring negativity into their sessions, and it kind of makes it go bad.
No good.
So, you know, when you're thinking about doing Ouija board, you know, I definitely do recommend that you kind of, you know, check your biases. If it's something you really want to do, check your biases. Make sure you're not going into that session scared because of things you heard. So that, you know, again, you're bringing your own positive energy to the session. Because, you know, obviously there are going to be those spirits that sometimes are just a pain in the butt, and they're going to come on and be negative regardless of what you do, right? But generally, I find, you know, 95% of the time, if not higher, like if you bring positivity to the session, it's going to go well.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to like set up your space too. Like if you feel like you need like a little bit of a reset, like some people like taking a shower, some people like lighting a candle, some people like doing it, you know, after a dinner when they're really relaxed. Some people like meditating beforehand or waking up from a nap or whatever it may be. Whatever allows you to feel good with you doing it and feel comfortable.
Take a nice bath.
Yeah, take a nice bath, sure. I think that is what helps a lot too.
Yeah. And you know, Ouija board, and this goes with all of these tools. I'm sure you've heard say goodbye at the end. Do that with Ouija board. But do it with all of them. Otherwise, you are leaving an open portal in your house.
And if they don't want to say goodbye, you say goodbye for them.
You say goodbye for them, and you move the planchette to goodbye. But again, that goes for every tool we're going to mention. Always say goodbye.
Always say goodbye.
Say hello. Yeah. Say goodbye.
Say hello. Say goodbye.
Yeah.
Our next no tech communication method is psychics and mediums.
Yes. So this is another one we are going to do a full episode
on. Sure.
But just in general, psychics and mediums can communicate with haunted dolls, just like they can communicate with, you know, your relatives or, you know, whatever random spirit is there.
And let's also say really quick, some can do one, some can do the other, some can do both. Some are good at one day and good at the other one day. There's a wide range here of spectrum of how this goes.
Yeah. And, you know, with psychics and mediums in particular, obviously, you want to find somebody who you trust, who is good, who gets good results. But in addition to that, I think it's important to ask your spirit before you sign them up for this. Some spirits don't want to be read. Some are super into it. We have some that just love it. Others who are like, ooh, you are crossing a line. Some of our more private spirits don't like psychic and mediumship readings because they want to be in control of what is said, and they don't want somebody reading into them, reading into their background. It's a little bit more of an intimate method. So, you know, making sure that you ask your spirit in advance. Pros of this, we have been able, and we have worked with a number of psychics at this point with our spirits. You know, If you have a psychic who's really comfortable working with haunted dolls, not all are. So you want to find somebody who is. We have several we can recommend if you would like recommendations who we have worked with personally. But if you are working with a psychic or medium and they have experience with haunted dolls, you can get really great information. They can show that psychic memories of theirs that they have had. The things that they like, who they are, they get to, hear their voice. And so they can describe to you what they look like. Like some of that information that you may not be able to get with other methods, you can get with psychics and mediums. Con, and this is a con of every single no tech method. The con for all of these methods, in my opinion, with no technology is there is always a degree of human error involved, right? Psychics can be wrong. What they say is not the law. Spirits may not tell a psychic the truth. There is a degree of human error. So you always want to confirm with your spirit what is being said, and any good psychic won't do the whole my evidence is trust me, bro. They will say, hey, I'm feeling this about this spirit. Can you confirm that with them? And then again, we can use another method to check with them if that was accurate. And we can get that validation. That validation is everything. And just because it's a psychic or a medium, that doesn't mean that evidence isn't still important. It absolutely is. So check with your spirit. Hey, so-and-so told me this about you. Is that true? If so, let's dive into that further in our conversations. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a very intimate communication method.
Yeah.
So people have to be ready for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right.
Next on our list is dreams.
Dreams. Yes. Dream weaving. Dream weaving is very similar to psychics and mediums. Spirits can give you dreams.
Big time.
I have gotten a lot of these. I have had anything from predictions of things that are going to happen that come true to seeing spirits, families, their lives. I get them in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's I'm in their shoes, like I'm them almost seeing something from their perspective.
It's highly variable.
Yeah.
And I think this is another one that is once again, a very intimate communication method, but also something that can be a younger spirit, but I feel like a lot of times it's some of the more mature spirits that have had high energy. Yes. Or sometimes you get the younger spirits that just had some crazy things happen to them. And this is also another way too, that if a spirit has a hard time communicating, they may have much more success kind of showing you, what they look like instead of describing what they look like.
And with dreams, you're not always going to get what you want. You're going to get random. You're going to get stuff where you're like, okay, I got this dream. I know it was from somebody, but I have no idea what it means. It might be like cryptic. It may be symbolic, and you kind of got to piece them together. I always say, people always ask me, and so I'll include it here, is like, how do I know the difference between my brain having a dream and a spirit dream? In my experience, spirit dreams are a lot more vivid, a lot more real, and I remember them. I'm not somebody who really remembers my regular dreams, but these really vivid dreams, typically they happen right before I wake up, which I think is on purpose so that I do remember them, is kind of how I tell. And just the degree of how vivid it is usually how I know it's a spirit dream. Con of this, our brains are brains, and our brains also just give ourselves wacky dreams.
Very much so.
So again, like everything else, comes back to confirmation. Confirm it with the spirit. Did you give me this dream? Why did you give me this dream? So you know that your brain didn't just do something wacky, because I have seen this time and time again. Somebody's getting their first haunted doll. They're very afraid of their haunted doll that's brand new. They have gotten themselves into a tizzy because they're nervous about that spirit. They give themselves a nightmare. And then they're like, oh my gosh, the spirit is giving me nightmares. So
you manifest it.
Yeah.
I think also this is another nice thing as well, that something that I need to do more of. But if you get a dream that you feel like even might be from a haunted doll, write down as much information as you can.
Yeah.
Whether that's a voice memo and you want to speak it into your voice memos, whether you want to write it down, whether you're going to, any way that you can of documenting if and what happened. Because we've had, or at least we've had communication methods, dream or not, that a spirit has said something to us and we're like, what does this mean? And then like 6 months
need it a
later,
year
it's come
later.
to fruition. So a lot of times keeping like a dream journal is a really nice option, or a section on your phone that you want to write down some little things that happened. Anything like that. I would try and keep that if you're someone that's either interested in trying to communicate via dreams, or has trouble with it, or maybe you don't get a lot of dreams and you want to try and remember more. It's a really interesting way to kind of try and convince our brain to remember it more. And it will be effective if you try and really focus on remembering it. Your brain will start to kick into that a little bit more, and sometimes it may be helpful.
Tips are hard to give for dream weaving because it's like
very individualized.
You're not consciously in control of it, right? You're asleep. My only tip I have, I'm sorry, I don't have more. Well, I have 2 tips. One, before I go to bed every day, I remind them that it's totally fine if they want to give me a dream. If they want to share something with me, I'll say, good night. Hope you have a great night. Just a reminder, if you want to visit me in my dreams, you're always welcome. Would love to see you. We do that. It's just become part of our routine. The other thing, and this was told to me by somebody and it worked for increasing mine a lot, put an amethyst next to your bed or under your pillow or wear it or whatever. I have a giant amethyst on my nightstand, and
we went a little overboard.
Yeah, you don't need a giant amethyst, but I do. I just like it because it's pretty, but, amethyst does help with dream weaving. So, that is always something you could try. Some people's brains are built to dream. Some people's aren't. Mitchell has always had kind of issues with dream weaving, and we've asked the spirits why. And they're like, we tried to give him a dream, but like he has sleep apnea. So he doesn't sleep very well.
So I don't get, I get them very sporadically.
If you're not a good sleeper, you're not going to get as many.
Yeah, 100%. And even like sometimes, if you don't sleep for longer periods of time, maybe that impacts it. I mean, there's a million things that we don't even know about that are probably impacting it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wish I had tips on this one. This one's kind of just, it happens or it
kinda
doesn't.
tough.
And not all spirits dream weave either. Not all of them do.
A lot of them.
A lot of them don't. So, it depends on you and your brain, and it also depends on the spirit you're working with. And again, there's no one size fits all on that. So
yes, exactly.
Not a ton of tips.
Next for our no tech is telepathy.
You're going to talk about that, not me, because I am awful.
Yeah, I am going to talk about this. So this has been something that I've gotten better at, I feel like, but is really, really tough. So telepathy is basically the act or ability of being able to communicate with the spirit, like with your thoughts. And either they'll communicate with you or you'll communicate with them. This is one that I feel like requires a lot of practice and requires a lot of like trial and error. So I'll hear spirits talk to me in my head. And for a very long time, I didn't know if that was me coming up with my own thoughts or me like creating the thoughts or them creating them. Some people hear it like a voice. Like that's how you get. It's like a boom. Like it's
I've
there.
only had it like 3 or 4 times, and it's very rare. And I hear it like it's their voice, and it like almost overthrows my brain. Like what I'm thinking about goes away, and it becomes somebody just yelling in my head.
And I don't have that.
I only get it from spirits.
Mine is like I have like a constant background chatter in my brain, and sometimes like spirits like key into it. And the other question that I've gotten is like, how can you tell who's who? It's almost like you hear like a tone of voice, kind of, and then you can kind of cue into who's who via that way. It's probably harder for us because we have so many spirits that do telepathy. But this is another one as well that's like a lot of very strong, high energy spirits like to use telepathy, or if they're older spirits, like time wise, a lot of times they'll like it. Or if there's someone who is a very strong, someone who did magic in their life, they probably had a very strong, mental presence. Maybe they want to do that there. So it really depends on the person, and it's really tough to try. I always try when I first started to figure out how telepathy worked, I would combine it with other communication methods, right? So I would do telepathy, and then I would test it with Pendulum, where I would do telepathy, and then I would test it with a Ouija board or Spirit Box.
We did some really interesting experiments with that.
Yeah, that was kind of wild. So
that we didn't come up with, they did.
You have, and you have to really practice it. Some people get it right away. Some people don't get it at all.
I don't get it at all.
And it really depends on the person, right? And
it's not for me.
It's my most reliable tool, like hands down. 100%.
And it's my least reliable. And that just goes to show, we're working with the same spirits we have totally different preferences.
Yeah, and kind of the way that it's been described to me by a really, 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 really good psychic was it's almost like your brain is on like a certain radio station, and you're on like a radio station that's only like you being like radio going to you, and you can cue into other stations, and it'll basically like it'll allow other spirits to like come in and talk with you that way. So it's a really interesting way. This is probably one that if you hear people talk about this, 10 different people will describe it 10 different ways, right? This is just purely based on my experience. And I would really, really recommend just trying. And I think if you want to practice, learn how to do some basic meditation and just sit with your spirit and see what you come up with. And then write some things down if you feel like you hear something or you think something that's even like maybe like, oh, this is a thought that came to my head. I don't know if this is real or not. Write it down. And then your spirits can kind of help you along with that too, because they want to communicate a lot of times. So if they feel like telepathy is something that they want to do, they will help you.
One thing Arian one did, and I want to bring it up. Arian one is over here behind us, but she did this. She started it because she loves telepathy and she really wanted Mitch to get better at it, to talk to her. And during a spirit box session, and again, like she came up with this on the fly, it kind of surprised us. But if your spirit wants to do this, tell them about this idea if you have spirit box or whatever, and see if they're into it. So Arian one would tell Mitchell when she was going to say something to him. And then she would stop talking in the spirit box and she'd be like, okay, I'm going to say it now. And then she would say it to Mitchell. And then she would have Mitchell tell her what he heard. And she would tell him if it was right or not. And if it was wrong, she would give him feedback on how to make it better.
This is also something as well that I figured out that you could combine telepathy with pendulum. So I could ask questions in my head, and then the pendulum would be used in conjunction with telepathy. So I could ask a question and then get an answer on the pendulum, or vice versa, which is really cool.
Yeah. So that's telepathy for you. I'm not the best at it,
but it's pretty wild.
It's a good method for the people it works for. I know that for sure. And I wish I could do it, but I can't.
Yes. Next we have is dowsing rods.
Yes. Dowsing rods. Dowsing rods. Okay. So dowsing rods are the thing you see every TikToker do that's trying to make a buck. So
I hate the dowsing rods.
I do too. Personally, like if you use them, no hate. It is not a method for me. So they are typically copper and they're shaped like an L, and you hold the little sticks and the rods turn. Dowsing rods. Okay. The problem with dowsing rods is they have these little handles on them and they're made to rotate, right? You literally can inhale and those things will cross for yes.
Yeah, they're very highly,
they're too sensitive. Susceptible. They're way too sensitive for me to feel comfortable with the evidence I get from it. Again, the ideomotor effects that we talked about with the pendulum, where you can accidentally make a micro movement and get what you want, applies even more so here because of how sensitive they are. The pendulum's a little bit less sensitive, and even less sensitive if you use a really heavy crystal or something at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Those dowsing rods are lightweight. And you also see people, like shaking them to reset them, and then they shake them and they stop and they ask the question and they cross right away or they do whatever. And that's just because they're shaking them. So dowsing rods are something that, I don't personally use anymore. This is something I have used. When I was starting, everybody was using dowsing rods online. Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to use dowsing rods because everybody else is doing it and that must be the thing. And I just haven't found the reliability that I like to get evidence-wise for communication from dowsing rods. I have seen a lot of people have bad experiences with dowsing rods too, in that, they're doing these things for 6 months to talk to their spirit. And then they reach out to me and they realize they're like, Taylor, I have been answering all the questions every time. I realized every single time I cross them, it's what I expect it to be. And if every single time you're getting the answer that you expect, you're probably the one moving it and you don't even know it. And when people are moving dowsing rods, I see a lot of people, there's a lot of back and forth about this online on spiritual TikTok, but when people are using dowsing rods, I don't think they're trying to fake it. I really truly believe that they think that it's happening. And I mean, you can see their hands move in the videos. You can watch. I mean, and a lot of people are moving those things, but because of that ideomotor effect, they really don't think they're moving them. So I don't think these people are like ill-intentioned or anything like that, but I just feel like it's too sensitive, and there are completely objective ways you can get a yes no response that don't involve you. That's what I prefer. Like, I much prefer a balloon light or a cat ball for a yes no than something I could breathe and skew. Those things are made to rotate, and they rotate fast and hard no matter what you do. So like, you hiccup and like those things are moving. I mean, you breathe the wrong way, you move the wrong way, you shift, whatever. You even turn your head the wrong way and they will move. And you can test it. Like, I definitely recommend, if you are a dowsing rods user, test that at home. Like, think yes and see if you can get them to cross, because I bet you can get them to cross yourself and not even realize you're doing it. Mm-hmm. So that's dowsing rods in a nutshell. Again, if you use them, no hate, no shame. There are just a lot of things you have to be careful with dowsing rods. And me personally, I don't like that kind of evidence, because I want to get my spirit's message 100% right. And I don't trust myself. I move. I'm just a fidgety person. Like, I talk fast, I move fast, I breathe fast. I'm going to move those things. So, yeah. All right. Is that the last? No tech?
Well, we have like a half tech, and that's the light balls and cat balls and light up stuff.
Yes. So light tech is stuff where it's not like you got a radio and you got a spirit box, you got this. It's kind of like this middle of the road. We're using balloon lights, we're using cat balls, maybe we're using a kid's toy that they set off, some kind of electronic to elicit some type of response. I would even put the mag light flashlight into this category.
Yes. So it's something that has to be physically moved or interacted with.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
What I love about light tech, and I'm kind of lumping them all into one thing here, the balloon lights, cat ball, flashlight, whatever. But what I love about these is they are so much more objective for yes, no than something that you're physically touching, like in no tech. So what I like about this is it's important that you give the spirit instructions of what you're expecting. So like, okay, I want you to turn on the flashlight for yes. I want you to turn it off for no, whatever that may be. You can dictate that and see what happens. With these, where I see people go sideways is they're not patient and they start barking questions, saying the same question 200 times, asking 15 different questions in a row before they even get a response. And then you don't know which question they're even answering the yes, no for. People get really excited by this method. And I did too when we started. So what I typically recommend, ask the question, say it once, tell them what you want them to do, and count on your fingers to 30 seconds to a minute. Don't say anything in that time frame. If it goes on for yes within that 30 seconds, then I say, okay, that was a yes. If it doesn't, then I say, okay, that was a no. I have gotten great results with this. I think it is an awesome, awesome way to get consistent yes, no's that you can't skew on accident. If you breathe the wrong way or you have a cough that day, it's not going to make your mag light turn on. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those?
No, I agree.
Your cat balls, only cons about your cat balls, dog barking will set them off.
A lot of things will set them off.
Fun fact. Yeah.
They're very, very sensitive.
Yeah.
But they are fun. You can make like little, you can set little lights up with different questions or answers or yes, no, or whatever. It's very easily.
Post-it note method. I forgot about that.
Very easy to do.
Do you want to explain what they did for Fiona and Akio for movie night?
Yeah. So some of our friends, what they did is they were borrowing some of our haunted dolls, babysitting,
something,
spirit sitting,
something.
And they were going to pick a movie. So what they did is they set up 4 lights, and then they set up each light with a post-it note that had one of the names of the movie. So let's say it was like, I don't remember what they were. But let's say it was like Cars, Toy Story, and Finding Nemo, right? And then what the spirit could do would then turn on the light that's associated with the choice that they wanted, which was a really, really easy, low tech, low cost way of being able to communicate rather effectively. This is once again a really, really nice option for your spirits that aren't able to do a lot of communication via
Really good
speaking
for kids.
or spelling, right? Because spelling is hard. And if you have someone that's, 2 years old, like we have Emma, who's like really, really little, like girl can't spell, but she can turn on a light associated with a movie.
Yeah.
Like she can do that. Or you can say, hey, this one over here is for a movie with dragons, and this one over here is for a movie with, boats, whatever. And then she can pick which one there. So that's really easy for her to do as well.
Yeah. And I definitely prefer the balloon lights or the mag lights for those kinds of things to the cat balls, just because if the wind blows and the cat ball moves a little bit, it'll go off. There are just a lot of things, but those like mag lights, especially, like those are really consistent.
Really reliable.
Yeah, they're really reliable.
We use them with our spirits. We use them with a lot of our investigations,
at locations,
like in cemeteries or otherwise. Or
and they seem to like them too. I've never met a spirit that doesn't like the dang mag light flashlight.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Create energy and do it. It's wild. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
But one question at a time, otherwise you have no idea what they're answering.
You have to wait.
You have to be patient.
You have to wait.
Patience is a virtue.
Yes, have to wait. Long time, like way longer than you think.
Yeah.
You're going to be uncomfortable. Sit in silence.
I count in my head. Otherwise, I will ask a second question and screw it up.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We're moving on to high tech, which are the good stuff. Let's preface this by saying these are very individualized, I feel like, a lot of times.
Yes.
Very, very different per person.
And the most expensive.
These are not mandatory. Do not feel like these are mandatory. This is another one as well that I feel like if you go with a cheap option, like a cheapo version of like a spirit box, it probably doesn't work super well. So this is one that's kind of like buy it nice or buy it twice kind of thing.
Agree.
Agree 100%. And if you have any questions of like really reliable sellers or products or anything,
we've tried them all.
You can reach out to us. We've tried a good amount of them.
Yeah.
So, or like our Discord's a really nice place. People have lots of different stuff there, because if you're going to spend like $200 on, a communication device, like you want to make sure it's something that is going to work. So yeah,
a lot of these other things, there are like good alternatives, pendulum. Oh, you can't get a fancy pendulum. Okay. Use your necklace. Like, Ouija board, you can make one. I've seen people make them out of cardboard, or they use a glass.
There's like a Hasbro one for like $12 on Amazon. You can buy a pendulum for like $15 at a store. Like there's much more affordable ways to do it. If it's something that's like a little bit, that you're concerned about, which is totally cool if you are.
Yeah. And with a spirit box, I've tried a couple of different ones, and I generally find like this is really the only realm of equipment that I say that if you get the cheap one, you're going to get probably worse results than if you get something that's a little bit on the higher end. Everything else has alternatives. It's a bummer. There was recently a Sam and Colby spirit box that was super affordable and it worked. And then it got taken off the market in like 2 months, which is such a bummer because it was the only affordable spirit box that worked well. The SB7 I think is like probably the go-to one I would recommend to anybody. You want to get really fancy, you can go with the SB7 Pro, but the SB7 is kind of like the gold standard of spirit boxes that most investigators choose to use, and there's a reason for that. So yeah, spirit box. What is a spirit box? We should explain that. So what a spirit box is, and I have a tutorial on this on my page on like how to set it up and everything if you're interested. A spirit box is basically an adapted radio. So it rapidly scans through radio frequencies at an extremely quick rate, and you can set the rate on them to what you want. So it basically creates a white noise, and the theory is that spirits can speak through that, and you can hear it. Pros. I'm a spirit box girl. This is my favorite. Pros is, I feel like it is probably the most objective tool you can possibly use, because
when done correctly,
because the word is the word, right? And it's like you heard it or you didn't hear it. Sometimes it requires analysis and you can't exactly figure out the word. That's when it becomes less reliable. Sometimes there are misfires in which, the radio says, oh, like there's a blip from the radio and you thought it was a word and it actually wasn't. There are misfires. There's misfires with every spirit communication tool. We would be lying if we said that there wasn't. But I do find that this is one of the more reliable methods because of you can get actual words from them and your hands aren't touching it.
Yeah, I
That's nice.
also feel like as well, it's probably one of the unique communication methods that you get a lot of personality
Yeah.
from spirits, which is really cool. Like you'll hear them like use a tone of voice, or you may hear an accent, or you may hear them like the way that they say certain things, or the way they, choose specific language is really unique a lot of times. Or a lot of times too, this is also one as well. Like you've gotten things that are not words, like songs or sounds or like all sorts of crazy stuff that they're able to do with that. Screaming, well,
laughing.
Hoshi, laughing. So that's a really cool thing as well, that if you're able to figure out how to make it work, is probably the most eye-catching and coolest way to communicate, I feel like.
Cons, static.
It's really hard.
It's a learning
really
curve.
Really hard. And we get this, like, I feel like we get this question like constantly of like, how do I get better at the spirit box? Like,
practice.
It's a lot of practice, and I have not put in the time. But I mean, you don't be skewed by, if you look at the videos that we do. I mean, we've done it for probably somewhere around 200 to 500 hours.
Yeah,
it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And there are still times where it's hard.
I struggle.
So I think it's something that you just gotta practice. And this is one as well that it may take you like 3 months
and your
of failing.
Spirits have to practice too.
Your spirits
it's not
have to practice
just you.
too.
It's a two-way street.
Yes.
You have to be able to listen through white noise and static, and your spirit has to be able to talk through it. And not all of them can do it. We have spirits
or
who
don't want to
it.
do it. And this might be a good one as well, that if it's something you're interested in, to talk to your spirits beforehand with maybe some of these less intense or expensive communication methods like the pendulum. And because a lot of them, at least in our experience, have experience with
from being
the spirit box before, from being investigated before. But if you have a spirit that maybe hasn't been investigated as much or hasn't used the spirit box, that could be something that they get really frustrated with and they don't want to do, which is totally reasonable, right?
The other thing I want to say here is I feel like because there are a lot of people who get really, really awesome results on their spirit boxes. People who have a hard time think like their communication is not valid because they can't spirit box, or they can't afford a spirit box. They don't have one, or the listening is really hard for them and they're just not picking up on it. And they in some way think like, oh, well, my communication isn't good because I don't have this one thing. Please don't feel that way. Again, with everything else, communication is a deeply personal thing, and it's about what works for you and also what works for your spirit. And if spirit box is not it, that doesn't mean you can't communicate with your haunted doll in 500 different ways.
Yeah, I do not like being in the spirit box.
And I would live in there.
It's just like, for me, it's so distracting. There's so many noises and I can't focus, and it's really, really, really hard for me.
And for me, the white noise makes me trance out and focus better.
Yeah, I think that's why I like I like the Ouija board a lot better, because it's something I can physically touch and feel. And for me, the spirit box is just so hard. Like, I would rather just do white noise and then do telepathy, which is way easier for me because I can just talk to them willy-nilly that way and get good results there. So it depends on what you like to do.
There are 3 different ways to use a spirit box, and we're going to talk about other high-tech stuff too, but 3 ways to use a spirit box. 1, listen to that bad boy on a speaker. Spirit box speakers, doesn't matter which spirit box you have, they suck. The ones that are built into the box, they are so bad. They're so horrific. And people are like, oh, I can't understand anything on my spirit box. And I'm like, buy an external speaker. And they're like, I can understand everything on my spirit box. The quality of those speakers is trash. I highly recommend, if you are going to do speaker sessions, buy an external speaker to attach to your spirit box. I will put links in the description to everything that we're talking about today. There is a spirit box speaker that's like $17 and it is life-changing. So there's a speaker method. There's also like solo, and you're doing it solo. You're the one asking the questions and listening at the same time. Noise canceling headphones. You're going solo. And then there's also the Estes method, which is what we do a lot. I also do solo sessions on the speaker, but do you want to explain Estes method a little bit?
Sure. So S method requires two people at least. And the person who is doing the spirit box will have the spirit box hooked up to a pair of headphones, and they will be listening through it. And they will also be shielding their vision with some sort of like, sleep mask, regular mask, bandana, anything that covers your eyes. So you can't see or hear what's going
To
on.
remove bias.
So then what happens is, let's say Taylor's in the spirit box. She cannot hear or see anything that I am doing or saying. Right? All she's listening to is the spirit box. Then what I can do is I can ask a question. So I'll say, how old are you? And then Taylor may respond with 6. And she doesn't know the question that I asked.
I'm just repeating what I
She's
heard.
just
in
repeating
the
what she hears. So it's a really objective way of getting really good data.
The evidence is so good.
And also know that it looks like, when you see it done really well, it looks like kind of a conversation. It's not that at a fundamental level, right? It's a conversation between you and the spirit, and they're almost using the person who's in the spirit box as kind of like a microphone. It's a really, 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 really good way of getting really concrete, objective evidence. And it's probably the one where we've learned the most about our spirits, but it requires someone who is good at listening and someone who is good at asking questions.
The asking questions part is so important. And people are always like, oh my gosh, Taylor, you're such a good listener. I think I have the easier job. When I am on the other end, which is Mitchell's end, asking the questions, I'm like, did you know the sky is blue? What's your favorite color? I don't know what to say to them, and it makes them give up. So asking good questions is really, really important. Mitchell does it in a way that makes it look so easy, and then I try to replicate it, and I can't do it. So having a partner on each skill set, if neither of you are good at your current skill, switch. Try the other way. Or
try both. And I'll get into a little bit of the questions and
Please.
Communication and talking to them.
You're so good.
I just feel like it's how you would communicate with anybody, right? If you were going to have a conversation with a 6-year-old, like, you have to approach that like you're communicating with a 6-year-old. If you're going to have a conversation with a spirit that was like, Phineas, who was like, this really deep, incredibly knowledgeable, really sophisticated, high-end, really emotionally intelligent, leader of a coven, right? You can't ask questions like you're doing to a 6-year-old.
What's your favorite color?
So in my experience, the best thing you can do is just keep them talking. Keep them talking and learn to wait for responses. Your response will not come right away. And
don't cut them off. They might be making a sentence and you just don't know it yet.
And wait longer than you think. And sometimes, like, even while doing it, I'll wait too long and they'll go like, next. And then it's like, oh, okay, cool. But you have to just don't think of it like you're communicating with a spirit. Think of it like communicating with a friend. And it's much easier that way to have a really natural conversation. The other thing that I see people screw up 99% of the time is, as soon as they get in the spirit box and they're talking to someone or talking to a spirit, they want to know all of like the things that everyone wants to know. How did you die? Like, what's it like on the other side? Like, people don't want to, spirits don't want to answer those questions. They go so
intense.
They don't want to answer that. Don't go intense. Have a regular ass conversation. Ask them about what they did that day. Ask them about if they liked the movie that you watched. Ask them about what kind of music they like. Ask them about things that interest them. And then they'll get talking, and then you can kind of create a relationship. And I really don't try and ask the questions directly. If, let's say, like, we're talking to Oric, and Oric was like, yeah, it was really difficult, like, growing up. And I'm like, well, tell me a little bit about that. Where did you grow up? What kind of stuff did you do? And he was like, oh, I grew up on a farm. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. What kind of stuff did you do on the farm? And then you can learn stuff about them much more organically than specifically, thank you for the light. And then specifically like asking them like, how did you die? Is there a light? Why didn't you pass on? Like all these really intense questions. That would be like if I walked up to you and was like, hey, we just met. Tell me the deepest, darkest thing about yourself. Or like, hey, we just met. Tell me one thing that terrifies you. Like, you're not going to ask that. You're not going to ask that to anybody. So you have to really create a really, really solid relationship with them. And a lot of our like younger kid spirits, like they don't want to talk about that stuff.
And they get better. You guys kind of get better together.
Yes.
So like as you are learning to listen and ask questions, and you're getting better at it, and your spirit is going to get more confidence that you're going to get whatever the heck they're trying to say, and they're going to try harder.
And don't let them push you around.
I think this is a problem that's exclusive to our house.
Don't let them push you around.
It's not problem. That's our house.
Because they'll be like, Mitchell, we want to do this. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Our spirit of the week
spirits
this
like
week
to do it.
wanted to be paid for her interview.
She sure did. Twice, beginning and end. Cough up. That's what she said. But yeah, it requires a ton of practice. If you feel like it's something that you want to learn about, you can always watch.
There's a tutorial. There's
a
tons of
tutorial.
videos of how
I don't think I've made a tutorial about questions.
You should.
I will happily do that.
You should do that.
Maybe we can put it on this page.
Because that is so not my skill.
Maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
And then go look at some of our videos.
ChatGPT, questions to ask a blank-year-old.
ChatGPT, yeah, that's great.
Open-ended discussion questions to ask a teenager.
Another thing as well, especially if you have a spirit that you either haven't talked to a lot or don't know super well or haven't created a great relationship with. I feel like if you're getting the spirit from a good haunted doll seller, you will get a bio. Right.
They'll tell you if they can.
And they'll tell you if they can spirit box, number one, but they'll tell you a little bit about them. So like, let's say, we were communicating with like Millie. Millie is 6. She's 5. And like, it was on the bio, it was like, one thing is like, she loves talking about what she would do with her parents. Right. So like, oh, Millie, tell me about that. And she went on like a 10-minute, like, whole thing about how like she loves smoked meats and her dad was a butcher, and now it's like her thing where like when she comes on she's
Bacon
like
Millie.
She's like Bacon Millie, and I'm like, oh, we're talking to Millie. Or one time when she's like, we have beef, and I'm like, this is Millie. Or she's like, I want to.
No, you said it. You didn't notice it was.
I didn't
Millie,
notice
and
it.
then
She got
Millie
upset.
Said, I told you.
She did. And then or she'll be like, oh, I want to watch Max and Ruby, which is a TV show. I'm like, oh, great, we're talking to Millie. Like, you can have those like really silly, really, not intense, chill conversations. They're gonna like that a ton more than these super deep, intuitive, like, really deep emotional conversations. Some spirits want that, right? That's cool. But I feel like a lot of our spirits, a lot of times, especially the kids, are like, we don't want to talk about
like
a buddy.
Deep
stuff. They just want to talk about like the movie they saw that day and how they like, they want a yo-yo and they love the color green and like they love their new car that they got. We got them a little Hot Wheels car for $1. Like, that's the kind of stuff they want to talk about. And it's chill.
And if coming up with questions is really, really hard for you, like, have a list written down or printed out or whatever that you can go back to so that you don't get caught in those lulls, because it takes a lot of energy, more than most other tools, to use a spirit box.
So they get tired.
If you keep them excited and you keep them motivated, it'll keep going. Our sessions used to be 5 minutes long because I wasn't interesting enough. They would get bored and sick of talking to me, and they'd be like, peace out. I'm not spending this energy to do this. Our sessions got longer and longer and longer, the better we got at keeping them engaged. So yeah,
we practice a lot.
Multiple times a week.
I'm sure, I guess I've never really done this. We haven't done this, but if you go back and look at some of our first spirit box sessions on the TikTok, granted, like I said, I haven't done it, but I'd be willing to bet that they're A lot shorter, B, they are not as good as they are now. So it's another practice thing, right? Requires a lot of practice. All right, we have exhausted. We got too deep into it.
Let's talk about spirit chat / Ovilus type stuff.
Sure.
So the spirit chat or the Ovilus, there are other tools that do similar things and they serve the same purpose. We use the spirit chat. I've also used an Ovilus, whatever you prefer. But basically it's a text-based tool. So it's like an electronic Ouija board, kind of. No, it's not. What am I saying? You get a whole word. You don't get individual letters. I don't know.
It's like imagine if you had a little box that was a dictionary, and they could pick out individual words.
That's better. That's better. Yeah. So basically, it has 10,000, 15,000, whatever words pre-programmed into the box, and the spirit manipulates the energy field around the device to select what word they want to say. the word pops up on the screen and is said aloud. There are a lot of really nice things about this. Pros, if you can't spirit box, in my opinion, this is your second best option. If spirit box, you hate it, do a text-based tool. You don't have to listen through static. It's written and it's said aloud. It's super nice. It's super objective. You get the word or you don't. What's really nice about these two is they're not just like some of these apps, they just spit out word after word after word after word after word. These things, if there's no spirit there to talk to, or your spirit doesn't have anything to say, that box will stay quiet for 2 hours. I love that. Because that means that it's not just running random when there isn't somebody interacting with it, and you're not having to pick and choose and figure out what was them, what was random. It's great when it's quiet.
I think this is also one as well that requires a lot of practice from your spirits.
Yes, they get better over time.
Make it very clear to them to be like, hey, the first 5 times we're going to use this, it's probably going to be nonsense
We
words.
got random words for a long time.
Perfectly fine. And if you get things that you're getting it and you're like, this doesn't really make a lot of sense, try and keep it. It's going to mean something that you don't understand. And I think a great example of this is when we were doing a spirit box with Jer. And he said, what did he say? He said basement.
Oh, spirit chat.
Yeah, spirit. Oh, sorry. What did I say?
Spirit box.
Oh, spirit chat. Excuse me. He said basement and a bunch of other crazy words. He said fallout and basement and death and a bunch of these crazy scary words. And we were like, this is so weird. What is happening? And it ended up relating to a spirit
and he said the name Emma.
He said the name Emma, and we're like, what the hell is this?
And we checked with him later.
It ended up being a spirit.
It was her story.
It was her story. And then he ended up being someone that I don't know if he knew or someone he wanted to come, and that's how he ended up with Emma. But it's one of those things that if it doesn't make sense in the moment, write it down, take a picture of it,
write it down, or record.
Do something, or record.
So you know the context, because
the
context is important.
And especially what's going on around you really matters.
Con of these tools is, unlike the spirit box where you may get a full sentence, spirit chat, Obelisk, whatever these text-based tools are that you're using, are either single word or very short phrase. So the con that I see that a lot of people fall into is what I call case building. So somebody gets an idea in their head about what is going on, and then they're getting single words and they're piecing together this whole huge story scenario that they have made up based on single words. It's a little bit more concrete than that, because a lot of that's just hypothetical, and you're playing a word association game at that point where it's like, oh, he said basement. Oh, and all they'll say is basement. And then I will see them jump to, oh, well, in the basement, is that where you passed away? And I'm like, well, all I saw was basement. He could be talking about the tacos downstairs. We don't know. So it's very important that, you're taking it a little bit more concrete. You're sticking to what was said rather than whatever story you've created.
Keep it objective.
Keep it as objective as you can, because I see people spiral on this kind of stuff, and then they've got some whole conspiracy theory of what came out of their spirit chat, and I'm like, brother, all it said was 4 words. You cannot jump that far to a conclusion. So again, this is a human error thing that happens with spirit chat, but it is a great, great, great tool. Like Mitchell said, when you first start, you will be getting a lot of random words. As you go on, you'll see it will be more related to the conversation. Something we've been doing recently, and I know a lot of other people do that work really well for both spirit chat practice and seeing the connections for yourself, because sometimes it's hard for you to realize what the word means in the context. Put your spirit chat on while you watch a movie or a TV show with your haunted doll, and you will see how contextual that thing can really be. Because they'll be making comments on the movie. They'll be saying it's funny, it's creepy, whatever.
Do it out of nowhere, it makes it really tough.
Put it to a context.
For example, we Jer and I will a lot of times do the spirit chat while we're watching football, which is one of his favorite things to do. And then it'll be fun. Someone's excited about football coming back.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there he goes. Still going.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
You can see it, but he is flashing this someone's flashing it like crazy. He's very excited for it coming back. Yay, Sundays.
He's blowing the light bulb. God.
He'll say things that are contextual to the game. Like if someone
Didn't somebody like break their leg or something? And he's like, it's broken.
yeah, so I think someone was injured and he's like, it's broken. Or what else was one? Oh, someone like there was a penalty and he was like, mistake and something like that. And I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, when you're trying to do it in conversation, when you first start, you can do it in conversation and you can have a very real conversation down the line. But when you're first starting, putting it to a context like that, play a video game and run your spirit chat and see what they have to say about it. Play a movie, whatever. If you're working with kids, read a book out loud and see if they comment.
A lot of times as well, if you're struggling with it, don't focus on it so much. Like do something else. Like if you're going to be putting away clothes, like have a conversation and then like put away some clothes and kind of have it be like a background thing you can have a conversation with, or do it while you're like watching a movie. So it's like, oh, where you're kind of just watching it. Oh,
It's
just like
passive.
think of it like two friends commenting on a movie, right? You're not going to comment on every single second of the movie, right? But if something crazy happens, you maybe be like, oh my gosh, that was cool. Or like, wow, that was so funny, right? They're going to be sporadic. It's not going to happen every single 10 seconds. So wait, chill out. Let your spirit do its thing. Chill out.
My favorite example is last night we watched The Ring, which is Hoshiko's favorite movie, and Rachel in The Ring. Rachel like cries and screams and yells the entire movie. It's like, an hour and a half into the movie. It's almost over. Rachel's crying again and Hoshi's like never quiet. And she's like whining and I'm like, no, she's never quiet, Hoshi. You're right. So you can have really good communication with that. And again, as your spirits get better, this isn't something you get it on the first day, you take it out of the box, you try it, it goes perfectly, beautifully, wonderfully.
It will not happen.
No, the first day you're going to get random words. It's going to make no sense. Don't give up. That doesn't mean Spirit Chat or Ovilus or whatever doesn't work for you. Yeah. Keep trying. They'll build the skill. You'll build the skill. Yeah, but it works.
All right, did you want to do communication board or no?
Yeah, let's talk about communication board a little bit. So, can you grab it? It's right next to you. I know a lot of people have spirits that may not be the best at Ouija board or spirit box, and like these things don't work for them, but they do really well with lights. This is something new we've been using. It has different words on it. I also will put stickers on it to replace. So like, I'll put a car sticker here, an airplane sticker here, whatever their interest is. And what's really cool about it is these are infrared sensors. And so they hover their hand over the infrared sensor for what they want to pick, and the light will light up for what they chose. So it's kind of like, I don't know if this one has batteries. No, this is the one that doesn't have batteries. Great. I have two of them. This is the one that's going on the trip, so I took the batteries out. But they will light up. And so what's really nice about this is it's kind of a more robust way to use lights. So some spirit strength really is technology and electronics, lights, etc. And this is a great way to do that. I've been loving this. This has worked really well for Bobby and Jeffrey in particular, which is why I got it. I wasn't sure about it at first, but for Bobby and Jeffrey, it is the only form of communication we have with them.
Mm-hmm. Because
both of them have autism. They were not able to speak when they were alive, and they're too young to spell. So we're kind of in this, like, all we have is lights. And so we're trying to get creative. This has worked wonders for them. They're so excited.
Oh my God.
They'll spam hello over and over and over.
Will absolutely go bananas over it. And it's so cute.
It's so exciting for us because these are spirits who we know are there. We love dearly, but we've just never been able to talk to. And this has given us that. So is this something I would use as my primary for every spirit? No. But if you've got like a 2-year-old like Fiona who can't use anything else and all you got to work with are lights, this has been a game changer for us.
Yeah.
And there are many things like this. There are, like yes, no versions. We have like a triangle that just has yes, no on it. There are a million different options. That's just the one we happen to have. But I definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think I want to say one more thing before we get into like our favorites and the questions. Mm-hmm. We've used this method somewhat reliably, somewhat unreliably. We call it having a translator.
Yes.
So if you have a spirit that has a particularly hard time like on the spirit box, or is younger, or speaks a different language, if you have another spirit that is very good at that communication tool, we've asked them to like kind of be a mediator of the mediator, if that makes any sense. So like, for example, Stefania is one of our oldest spirits that we adore, and she is Italian, right? So she does not communicate in English very well, but we have some other spirits that can speak very fluently Italian and English. So sometimes we'll talk to, that spirit, and we'll be like, hey, is everything okay with Stefania? Is she doing okay? And she's like, oh yes, she's great. She's doing this. Or she wants to tell you this. And that may be a really nice way to get a little bit of communication in, especially if it's a spirit that has a really hard time with a different language, or one that maybe, can't communicate very well. I guess you've never tried it for Bobby or Jeffrey, but we could definitely try.
Yeah.
But anyways, before we get into questions, really quick, just like 2 seconds. I think we know what your favorite is, your favorite communication tool.
Spirit box.
Yeah, for sure.
And Spirit box portal, which we didn't really talk about, but a spirit box portal essentially is it's a spirit box that has been adjusted to have reverb on it. It tones down the static and it increases the echo. So it works the same as a spirit box, except it has less static. So I like spirit box or spirit box portal the best.
I like Ouija board. I like tactile things. Ouija board and pendulum are things that I very much like.
Yeah.
But we did something a little bit different today.
But we work with the same spirits.
Oh yeah, and
they have totally different ways that we do things, and that's okay.
Oh, I guess now that I think about it, my favorite communication method is probably telepathy, because I do that every day. I heard in my head, yup. Anyways, we have a couple of viewer submitted questions about communication, which we'll get into before we get to our commercial break. So let me find where we are here. We had 2 viewer submitted questions. Okay. First question was from Kendra. Kendra asked, what is the most effective and efficient method of communication that you both have found all spirits have been able to use? You probably have answered this question already at this point in time in the episode, but every spirit is going to communicate differently. There's not a one size fits all.
Just like we do as the
just
living.
Like we do as humans. There are some that are easier that a lot of spirits like to do, like something like the pendulum. I feel like is a very low barrier to entry for spirits or us using it. But there's no one size fits all. And there may be something that's specific to you that you like, and that's cool too. But there has to be a middle ground between what the spirits like, what you like, what works for both of you, etc.
In my opinion, when we're talking about efficiency, so you mentioned like what is the most efficient method. The most efficient method is whichever one you're good at and you like. Because for Mitchell, for example, if I say, here, Mitchell, take my spirit box stuff, go have a spirit box session, that ain't going to be efficient for him at all. He's going to sit in there for the next 7 hours trying to figure it out.
And
he's going to be upset.
So angry.
He's going to be stressed. The spirits aren't going to want to talk, And if you tell me, Taylor, go have a telepathy session, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to take a damn snooze, and nothing about that's going to be efficient. Yeah. I'm going to take an appetizer, and that's what's going to happen. So what's most efficient is what works for you, what you're comfortable with, that is also a match for your spirit. The only tool that I have found that actually has worked for every spirit we have personally worked with, that's not to say there are spirits out there that cannot do this, but what has worked for us for every single spirit consistently is those damn balloon lights and that mag light flashlight.
Yes.
Everybody we have worked with at locations, haunted dolls, on investigations, whatever, have been able to use those. We have run across spirits who can't spell, so they can't do Ouija board. They don't like the pendulum because they're annoyed by it. The spirit box is too hard, or they don't speak English.
And there's a pack of like a ton of them for like $10.
Yeah. So
and they die out pretty fast, but they're great.
That I think is the only true one size fits all.
Yes. But then again,
there are probably exceptions.
And it's very rudimentary, right? So if you get a spirit that's a little bit more, intellectual or wants a higher level of communication, they may do it, but they're probably going to be like, this is below me, right?
Yeah.
Which it probably is.
Yeah.
Next question is from someone who remained anonymous. Ooh. The question was, I'm just kidding. That's cool.
I just forgot to write their name in.
Yeah. What is your biggest piece of advice to those having a hard time hearing anything on Spirit Box? I think we kind of answered the question, but give me like a 2-second, Taylor.
The thing that has helped me more than anything else is drowning out all of my senses other than my hearing. The noise canceling headphones, even if I'm alone, noise canceling headphones, blindfold, turn the lights off in the room. Don't be like, doing something else. Don't be distracted. Even when I can see, like when I'm doing a Spirit Box portal, which is always on a speaker, I still will put a pillow over my eyes because I cannot focus with all of my other senses going on. I'll use a fidget toy a lot of times to keep my hands busy so I don't start screwing with stuff and getting myself distracted. So I'll use a fidget. So I do some kind of repetitive movement at the same time with whatever I have in my hand. I'll do some kind of repetitive movement so no other sense is distracting me. All I can focus on is my hearing, and that trance-like state can happen. Because if you can get yourself into a trance-like state to Spirit Box, your Spirit Box will work. So that is my number one tip, is get rid of all of real life when you are Spirit Boxing. The only thing going on is that Spirit Box, and it will probably go better for you.
There you go.
So
there you go. So I think we're on to...
What's your number one favorite tip for asking questions? Because you're on the other side.
Oh, sure. My number one, I talked about this a lot. My number one tip for asking questions is going to be learn as much as you can about your spirit beforehand, and don't be boring.
Don't be boring. We've heard that before from our spirit.
Yeah, we're going to hear that from the Spirit of the Week. But all jokes aside, practice. Don't give up. Don't freak out that you're communicating with a ghost and that you don't know if it's real or not, yada, yada, yada. Just talk to them like they're your friend.
The other thing,
just talk to them like a normal ass person.
If it's not going well, don't be stressed out about it. The more you stress,
yes,
the more effort you put in, the more you stress, the worse it's going to go.
And don't be afraid to admit to the spirit. Be like, you know what?
I'm learning.
I'm having a hard time asking questions today. Is there anything you want to talk about?
But I care and I want to do
Or
this.
Is there anything like, hey, I'm really not very good at the Spirit Box, but I'm really going to try hard. I'm going to spend, 20 minutes a day trying to learn. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right. Putting effort into it. There will be a way that if you have good intentions, you'll figure it out.
Spirits can be really sensitive too. So if you're all stressed out, oh my God, it's not going well, they may think that you're mad. We're often mad at ourselves, right? When that happens, some of these spirits will automatically think that you're mad at them, yes, or you're upset with them.
Spirits with trauma.
And so it's really important. Today I didn't get anything. That's okay. And I tell them, thank you so much for trying. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed, trying to talk to you anyway. We'll try again tomorrow. Yeah, see you later. Much love.
That's the number one feedback I always got when I was trying to, am still trying to learn how to use the Ouija board by myself, is they're like, you're trying too hard. Chill out.
Because we sit there and we're like, oh my God, is it going to move? What's going to happen?
What's happening?
And they're like, we ruin it.
They're like, dude,
we
chill.
ruin it.
Just chill out.
No stress.
No stress. We are going to go into our commercial break and be back with
our communication queen,
Spirit of the Week,
who we can't keep off the Spirit Box. We have the opposite problem.
Yes. Someone likes to butt in
and steal every session, but we love her for it. And she has good ideas.
So see you in a bit.
See you soon.
Hello and welcome back from our commercial break. We have this week's Spirit of the Week. It is
Omi.
Omi was one early on spirit that we got.
Yeah, she was like our fourth or fifth.
Why don't you tell the story, Taylor?
Omi's my bestie. She's my toxic bestie. I don't know. I saw a picture of Omi and I was like, I don't know what's going on with her, and I love her. Me and Omi have like just a lot of similarities in terms of like kind of, she reminds me of me when I was a teenager in a lot of ways. And I think that's what drew me to her, is she's so relatable. She's so fun. She's so cool. And she is one of those spirits who like really wants to be involved in your life. Like she is judging everybody who walks in the door. She's got feelings about our personal lives. Omi's got something to say about anything, anyone, anytime. And I love her for that. I feel like she's so honest. She has such a sense of humor that is just so, that sounds weird, but it's like, it feels like we have a living teenager in our house. Like she has
100%.
She just has so much to say, and she really, really wants to be a part of the house. And I love her for that. And she has not wavered in that at all since we've had her. We've had her a long time now. And she's always surprising me. She's always got something to say. And yeah, Omi is bestie.
I think another thing that I adore about Omi is I don't think in the probably 9 months since Omi's been here, we've ever had a even remotely serious conversation.
No.
You are not going to get a serious note out of her.
No.
At all.
No.
It is going to be like
sarcastic,
fashion, sarcasm,
judgy.
And it's great. But it's like, you're not going to get anything serious. Like if you want a spirit that's like, ooh, tell me about all these deep things that happened in your life. She's going to be like, I just wanted to dance to music and like to the lights. Like she's chill.
She taught us a lot about, I think she was like the first spirit we had that really was like, this is so unserious. You know, like she's like,
yes.
She's like, I am enjoying myself. Leave it be. She taught me a lot of what I know about like those not having those intense conversations all the time, because when she first got here, I wanted to, you know, like that was what I thought
everyone
this was all
does.
about.
When you start,
everybody
it's like,
does.
tell me the truth and everything, and she's like, no.
And Omi's like, no, this isn't how this works. That is boring. That is sad. We're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna talk about these girls' bathing suits in the Dominican Republic because I didn't like them. Like Omi is just awesome, and she's taught us so much about how, like, you know, the afterlife isn't something to be afraid of or, you know, think is going to be this like bad experience. Like she has showed us that there is so much more to the afterlife that like is enjoyable, and it doesn't have to be something that you're so desperately afraid of. So I love Omi. I could talk about her all day, every day. She can be a pain in the bum in the best way, though.
Let's get to our questions.
Because she interrupts every session.
As per usual, how this works is we ask these questions during a Spirit Box session. If you want to see that Spirit Box session, you can go subscribe to Taylor's TikTok. You'll find it there. But I write down these answers word for word. I do not change them, anything like that. So first question for Omi was, if you could give one piece of advice to spirit keepers, what would it be? And Omi's answer was, stop trying to make people cross over. Omi is not interested. I'm staying, girl.
And that is why we educate
and that
the
is
way
why
we
educate
do
the way we do
on crossing over.
This Omi.
Yes. She's very passionate about that
trying
topic.
to make people cross over. Why?
Because she doesn't want to.
She doesn't want to. Didn't she say before? She's like, my family sucked. It's way more fun
like,
here.
I'm having a great time.
I'm having a great time.
So that's why we talk about what we do with crossing over and why we have the stance we do, is because Omi has been preaching that since the day she got here.
She's a day one.
Yeah.
Second question is, how do you feel about having a vessel? Omi said, you know what's happening. It's cute. Great for Omi.
It is cute. She loves her vessel.
It's really cute.
Really cute.
It's really cute.
She loves her vessel.
Because it's cute.
Yeah. She was like a little raver girl from the 90s, by the way. Teenager. She was 18. Little raver girl from the 90s. And she loves the bright colors and the shiny stuff and all the things. And I feel like her vessel is very her.
She just wants to dance.
She wants to dance. She will interrupt CL's spirit box sessions all the time because she thinks it's funny to hear him yell with like rave music. And like CL's session will be like, so, because he's so intense, will be like so intense, so serious. And then you just hear rave music and then he's like, stop it.
Yes.
It's so funny.
She is the one who purposely pisses people off for a reaction. And the more you react, the funnier she thinks it is.
Yeah.
Like she is every high school teacher's nightmare.
She like
nightmare.
Definitely has some like defiance thing going on too. Because if you're like, hey, we really need to talk to so and so, like this, we have something serious we need to talk to so and so about. We'd like to, can everybody step back and give them a chance? Or it's a quiet spirit's turn to talk, and we're like, hey, like they haven't really talked in a while. They're really quiet. Like, let's let them have a chance. You turn on that spirit box. Who is this? It's Omi. And I'm like,
or she'll be like, guess who?
I'm like, oh no.
God damn it.
And we're like, Omi, no. And she's like, what? You don't want to talk to me? And I'm like, she does the opposite of whatever you ask her to do.
Yep.
And I think it's funny. So
it's true. It is funny. Question 3. If there was a time you were not in a vessel, how was that experience different? And Omi said, I was looking for one so I could score a good home. I thought if I looked good, some dumb chick would be more likely to take me home. I was right. Sorry, Taylor. Yup, I'm very intelligent. I got a home from that.
So this is the part of the podcast where I get referred to as some dumb chick.
Some dumb chick.
Spirit keeping it for the week.
That's how you know your homies, how your besties. Like if your bestie is like, I hate that girl, and you're like, that's my best friend.
Some dumb chick.
She said sorry. She said sorry.
This, mind you, was 5 minutes after. She's like, I'm gonna need $5 for this interview.
Yeah, she was like, cough it up. I was like, no. She's like, fine. And I was like, I have the power here. I'll just ask someone else these questions. And she's like, okay.
And you have to be sarcastic back. You have to play along.
Oh,
that's
you
what
have to. You have to give it back.
That's what she wants.
You can't just take it.
No.
Question 4. What is one thing you enjoy about the spirit world and one thing you don't? Omi said, I don't have to pay for parties. That's great. I don't like 2025 clothes much, so that's annoying. Missing out on fashion. I then asked a follow-up question. What spirit besides Omi in the house has the best fashion? And she said, Omi. And I was like, who besides Omi? And she's like, not available for that answer.
Not available.
So yeah. Question 5. We asked, what is something you want people to know about you? And Omi said, I'm flexible. Ha 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 ha.
I'll let that one speak for itself.
Let that one speak for itself.
You guys can interpret that as you wish. Enjoy. What do you think it means?
Question number 6. We asked Omi, what is your favorite part about living here? This one was funny. And Omi said, you got real things to do right here. And emotional, but family. You weird. And then I said, did you just call your own answer you weird? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay.
Fam, Omi, even if you don't want to admit it. Emotional, ew.
Emotions,
but like same, like I relate to that.
Meanwhile, me and Christy are like emotions, and you and Omi are like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Next question.
That's why we get along.
It is true. We asked Omi, what is one thing you want people to know about haunted dolls? Omi said, not everyone has creepy vessels. Some, like mine, are stylish. Learn about it from me.
That was kind of petty.
There you go.
She's accusing haunted dolls of having creepy vessels.
I mean, there are haunted dolls with some creepy vessels, but they're not as stylish as hers in her little straw hat with her little bunny. She's hysterical.
I can't believe
it. Next question was from Craig. Shout out Craig. Craig asked, does time go quickly in the spirit world like it does in the human world? Great question. Omi said, it's the same experience, but sometimes we don't know the day every day unless you tell it to us. Which makes sense.
I guess if they're not keeping track of a calendar, it made me wonder, like maybe some of these spirits want to have a calendar so they know what day it is.
Maybe they want to have a calendar.
So ask your spirits that. I'm curious.
Yeah. Ask your spirits.
I'm very curious. I kind of feel bad that they like don't know unless we tell them. I'm like, I never tell them.
It's true. Next question was from Kara.
Shout out.
Shout out, Kara. She said, Omi, with 2 exclamation points. Do you think it is easier for a spirit to communicate with new or old technology, or just easier for us to understand you? An excellent question.
Especially for Omi, because she can use anything.
Anything. Omi said, all of it takes energy. So it's more what's best for you because Omi is good at anything. Spirits don't want to talk to you if you're not successful. So find the easy thing for you. Once again, a spirit reinforcing what we said earlier.
Because
Feels good.
she taught it to us.
Well, yeah, but still.
She's not reinforcing us. We're reinforcing her.
Still. Everyone wins. Question number 10 was from Carly, who also goes by Vix.
Shout out.
They asked, do you have a favorite song? And Omi said, gnarly. I'm the shit. Wow. Yes, it is. Fabulous.
If you haven't listened to
If you haven't
Gnarly by
listened,
Cat's Eye
if you've been living under a rock and haven't heard of that song,
on our
go
TikTok
listen
700
to
times, go listen to Gnarly by Cat's Eye.
There's actually a video of her turning on a light to that song.
There's
Is there not?
multiple videos of Omi turning on a light
She
to that
loves
song.
that song.
Yes, she does.
Any dance music, techno. Well, I want to say techno. I don't want to speak for her, but she likes music to dance to.
Yes, I showed her that song one time, and she has been hooked since.
I mean, it's catchy. It's right up her alley.
Yes, listen to it.
Next question was also from Carly, who goes by Vix. They asked, if you are willing, can you share a memory of a night out recently or not? This is one of my favorite answers that we have ever gotten on the podcast.
Wow.
It's true.
Wow.
And Omi said, I'm excited because somewhere by us is doing dating show TV parties. So we go and laugh at girls who scream and the boys look confused and want to go home.
Yes.
That is not at our house.
No.
That is somewhere else that the spirits go in our somewhere around us that apparently has dating show TV parties, which means that our spirits are going to places, and I'm confident in messing with people.
I'm sure.
Confident in messing with people, which is kind of wild to think about, that we're causing chaos for an unknown amount of people that live within 20 square miles of us.
It's not just the neighbors.
It's not just the neighbors. Next question was also from Carly. They asked, do you have any movies you want us to watch for movie night? And Omi said, a dance movie.
Of course.
There you go.
Just watch like Step Up or something.
Ooh, Step Up. I feel like
Ideas.
she would like bring it on too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure she would.
Solid choices.
Yeah, she absolutely would.
There's some good Disney Channel movies though that are like dance movies, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's a bit young for her though. She
Well,
probably roasted.
I know.
She
but
roasted
I'm saying,
High School Musical. I'm not over it. Not over it. It hurt.
Tough L.
It hurt.
Next question is also from Carly. They ask, since you did Spirit Box in the Dominican Republic, can you tell us what it was like for you when most of the radio was in a different language?
For context, we did take a couple of them to the Dominican Republic. Obviously, their radio stations are not in English. And we did Spirit Box and we weren't sure how it would go. And it sounded the exact same as it does here. We were talking to her, there wasn't Spanish radio stations coming through or anything like that. And it was very, very interesting. And we always wondered how that worked because, a lot of theories about Spirit Box is, they're pulling radio channel voices, except in this context, there were no radio channel voices for her to pull in the language that she speaks. And she still made it work. So we were very interested to know, how did that happen? Because it makes us kind of question how we thought Spirit Box worked.
So an excellent question.
Yeah.
Omi said, I had to talk more loudly or it didn't work out. It's like a microphone. There you go.
All right.
Very interesting. Next question
She's
is
just talking into it. She's not manipulating.
No, just talking into it, apparently.
Interesting.
Kind of wild. Next question is also from Carly. They ask, what was your favorite piece of gossip you heard? And Omi said, Dick played with dolls as a kid. That's funny.
Her and the D-Man have a complex.
Well, okay. So I said, it seems like you guys feud a lot. She said, almost every day. Every half hour I yell at him.
They love to hate each other.
Oh, they are bitter rivals.
Yes, but they also love each other, and they make bets together on me. And if like he'll bet that he can scare me, and she'll bet that he can't scare me, and they have got this. It's kind of cute.
It's a point of drama in our house.
It's kind of cute.
Listen,
it's cute.
Yeah,
it's funny too.
It is very funny, but it makes you realize like they can form relationships very much with other spirits. Because I don't know if they knew each other before being here.
No, they did not. Nope.
So very fun.
They did not.
Our last question that we asked Omi was, do you have any tips for communicating with spirits? And Omi said, make it exciting and not boring, and it's easier for us to do. There you go. Easy answer.
That's where we learned that from.
I then ask everyone or every spirit that we have this with, I say, do you have any other final notes? And she said, not today. Movie time. Which, for context,
we had movie night last
you had
night.
movie night. They had movie night last night. But yes, so that is our dear friend Omi.
We love her.
We love her.
She's outstanding.
She has a lot of spirit box sessions. If you want to go look at the history of Omi, her story is up. She's been here a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has. She's awesome. I love working with her. I get such a kick out of her. I learn something new every time I work with her.
And she's really influenced some of the other spirits we've gotten too. Like she was a really big
she was one of our
player.
first really good spirit box users.
Yes, one of our first really good communication. That's why we wanted to choose her for this episode, because she's so dang good at it. But also like that fed into, you know, she recommended Christy and Christy recommended Jeffrey, and we kind of had this waterfall. She was
because Omi's really, like, I'm gonna plan how this house looks. If I'm gonna live in it, it's gonna be my house, and that's what it's gonna be.
She wanted it to be fashionable.
We love a strong woman.
Can you blame the girl? She's good at it.
Yeah.
But like usual, we want to thank everyone for watching. This was a very highly requested episode, so hopefully you got all your answers you needed.
And if you have continued questions, please drop them in the comments of this video and I will respond to them, so we can kind of use the comment section as a resource as well. If you have communication questions about things we didn't talk about, all of the things we talked about are the things that we either use or have used. There's some other things we have used that like we don't recommend, so we didn't mention them. But if you have questions for us, please drop them in those comments. And I will respond to everybody the best that I can to help you out. Our goal, as always, with this podcast is, as fun as this is to do, we want this to be a really good resource for you guys to look back on, to have tips, to have resources for new collectors who are looking for a place and a way to do this. We want this to be your spot. So if you have those questions, please include them for us. We can definitely do future episodes on communication as well.
Yes.
We could have talked for 7 hours about communication. This is a very, very vast subject. And honestly, every single tool we talked about today could have its own episode if we're being real about it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Drop your questions. We'd love to answer them.
Yeah. Obviously, this would not be possible without the wonderful people watching. So we want to thank you very deeply. Our spirits love doing this. We love doing this. This would not be possible without you. So thank you very much. Taylor, where can they find you?
TikTok, YouTube, Discord.
I am also on the TikToks as Paranormal Mitch and the Discord occasionally when it's open on my computer. But if you have any other subjects that you would like to see in follow-up episodes, please let us know in any of those methods. And we are happy to accommodate. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for being here. See you next time.
Bye-bye.